we're going to be doing some incredible things together, because I look at our region, if I can call it that, as being very important. It's been abandoned by the United States for so many years. You know, they went so far away. They went to these faraway places where they weren't even wanted. And a lot of stupid people, really stupid people. But Marco is going to go down, I think, as the best Secretary of State in history. That's my opinion. Now, I'm a little prejudiced because I like him too. But I think he's on his way. So you've done 25%, you got 75%. He's got 3 years left. So he's got 25% under your belt. So far you're leading, you're very leading by just about a smidge over a couple of pretty great ones. We've had a couple of pretty great ones, right? But I think he's going to do that. And I think Pete's right there too. If Pete keeps going, he's going to be something too. At what he does. All of the nations in this room share the same priorities: security, prosperity, free commerce, and the rule of law. And you want the rule of law. Sometimes your communities don't let you have it because you got some rough communities, right? That's why together we're also forming the Shield of Americas, a new organization to advance these shared priorities in our hemisphere. And we're pleased to be joined as well by Secretaries Pete Hegseth, Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. Oh, but it has to be a big deal if you're here. Well, he controls the purse strings of the country. You know, he goes on television and he just soothes everybody. He did it yesterday. The prices were going. He got on. He's a soothing person. He's actually a killer, but I don't want to say that. No, he's a soothing person. He goes on television. Right, Pete? I think nobody better. So we could use him for war every once in a while, you know, soothe. Although we don't really want that kind of a personality for war. We want your personality for war. You're just perfect. Howard Lutnick. Thank you, Howard. Chris Wright. Kristi Noem. Along with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, who you all know and you deal with. You deal very successfully. I ask Jamieson all the time, can you get more? Can you get more? He's the king of tariffs, right? But he's very gentle. We want to be very gentle with our friends, right, Jamieson? Deputy Secretary of State Chris Lando. Chris, where is Chris? I haven't seen Chris. He's fantastic. He was an incredible student. He went to the best schools, and he was #1 in his class at all times. And Marco saw that and saw the talent he's got, and she said, that's the guy I want as a deputy, and I heard you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Stephen is, I don't have to tell you anything about Stephen. Everyone knows. There's nothing, Stephen, there's nothing I can say. He's fantastic, that's all I can say. And Senator Bernie Moreno, who's a credible friend of mine, and he ran a great race. He was not given much of a chance. He was running against a person who was there for a long time and was sort of considered a shoo-in, right, Bernie? And we knocked him out. We knocked him out. He's trying to make a comeback, but we took him out. And Bernie's done a great job. For decades, leaders in this region have allowed large swaths of territory, the Western Hemisphere, to come under the direct control, and transnational gangs have taken over and they've run areas of your country. We're not going to let that happen. We'll help you. And bloodthirsty cartels that impose their will through murder, torture, extortion, drug trafficking, bribery, and terror. And some of you are in danger. I mean, you're actually in danger. Hard to believe. But we're working with you to do whatever we have to do. We'll use missiles. If you want us to use a missile, they're extremely accurate. Boom, right into the living room. And that's the end of that cartel person. But we'll do whatever you need if you want. A lot of countries don't want to do that. They say, oh, sure, I'd rather not have that. I'd rather not have that. I believe they can be spoken to. I don't think so. Many of them don't want, and that's okay too. You're going to do you. But if you need help, you're going to let us know, okay? Many of the cartels have developed sophisticated military operations, highly sophisticated. In some cases, they say they're more powerful than the military in the country. Can't have that. These brutal criminal organizations pose an unacceptable threat to national security. and they provide a dangerous gateway for foreign adversaries in our region. And we don't want them near our country either. We don't want them to come in. They're cancer, you know. They're cancer, and we don't want it spreading. We have a very strong border. You know, we have a border now where for 9 months, 0 people have been able to come through. It's hard to believe, actually, because we went from 25 million people coming in over the Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst presidents in history of the world. He was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some pretty bad ones. Recently, we've had some pretty bad ones, but he's the worst. But he would go down as one of the worst in the world. I'm going to up his category now. It's horrible what he did. And what he didn't do was probably worse than what he did. Every leader here today is united in the conviction that we cannot and will not tolerate the lawlessness in our hemisphere any longer. The only way to defeat these enemies is by unleashing the power of our militaries. We have to use our military. You have to use your military. You can't fight these people with, and you have great police. You have some great police, but they threaten your police. They scare your police. You're going to use your military. In many cases, our forces have already been working closely with yours, and the United States looks forward to deepening and expanding that cooperation in the months ahead. And it's so good that we got to know so many of you. I mean, we're so many. And I'd love to get to your countries at some point. Marco loves going to your countries. He's always at one of these countries. He likes your countries the best, okay? You know, where are you? I'm in Chile. Oh, good. How's Chile doing? Good. He likes it. He feels very calm. We all like him, right? It helps. He's got a language. He's got a language advantage over me because I'm not learning a damn language. I don't have time. I was okay with languages, but I'm not going to spend time learning your language. That much I won't do. Just give me a good interpreter. Interpreter, very important. And I know if somebody's good. I may not speak the language, but I know I had an interpreter recently that wasn't good, talking to a very strong person from a different part of the world. And I could tell, even though I don't speak the language, I could tell the interpreter was not good. When you go, when I give a long, flowing, beautiful sentence, and in this case it was a woman, and she gave it in about 1/4 the time, I said, well, their language may be efficient, but it's not that efficient. And I could also tell when I have great interpreters. Interpreters are very important. You know, you have a bad interpreter. You think you're doing well? Boy, did I do a good job talking to this one or that. Was I great when I spoke to Putin today? Was I great when I spoke to President? Was I great? But if the interpreter isn't speaking right, or is weak, or is ineffective, or is just not good, or not interpreting your words correctly. In one case, we had an interpreter who, when she disagreed with what we were saying, she actually changed it. We considered her a foreign minister, right? But no, the interpreter is, I talk about it all the time. Interpreters are really important. When you don't speak the language, they don't speak the language, people have no idea. People have no idea how valuable, and I'm on them all the time, people have no idea how valuable a good interpreter is. But over the last year, the world has witnessed the supreme power of the United States. We're the most powerful military country in the world. Again, I rebuilt it I spent so much time rebuilding it, over $1 trillion, and now we just had another budget. We may be going to $1.5 trillion. We're building a thing called a battleship, like in the old days, remember? We have a Secretary of the Navy, and he suggested, I've always said, why don't we have battleships anymore, shooting big bullets instead of, $3 million rockets? And they said, well, sir, we just don't have them. Nobody could give me the answer, but we're actually building 10 of them. And I said, you remember the old ones you see Victory at Sea, remember Victory at Sea? And you see these ships going through those waves like the waves were nothing, although the waves are pretty powerful. They knock out a lot of territory, but you see these incredible, they're pieces of art. beautiful, most beautiful, the big battleships of the 1940s, right? Power. I said, well, would we ever want to bring them back? Because we have some of them, they're museums and other things. And they said, sir, the new ship is 100 times more powerful than what we were looking at with those guns and fire. Amazing, right? 100 times. I said, you sure it's not maybe 90 times? 100 times more powerful. And we're building 10 of them. Not to use them. We don't want to use them, but by having them, nobody's going to play games. So, it's good to have them. We don't want to use them. They'll say, oh, he's very militaristic. I'm the one that ended 8 wars. I'm the one that, and we have another one coming, I think. The easiest was that, and that was just, and you know, as you would understand this, the hatred between Putin and his counterpart is so great, okay? It's so great that, you know, Ukraine, Russia, you'd think there'd be a little bit of camaraderie. There's not. And the hatred is so great, it's very hard for them to get there. It's very, very hard to get there. So we'll see what happens. But we've been close a lot of times, and one or the other would back out. But we're losing, you know, they're losing. You know, it doesn't really affect us very much because we've got an ocean separating. I'm doing it as a favor to Europe, and I'm doing it as a favor to life, because they're losing 25,000 souls. Think of that every month. 25,000. Last month, 31,000, both sides, 31,000 people died, mostly soldiers. So I have an ability to get those things done, to bring people together, and I did great with so many. India, Pakistan, that was going to be a disaster. That was raging for a number of days. I did that through trade. I used tariffs and trade, and it was amazing. But we did amazing. One was 32 years, one was 34, and one was 37 years, and we got it done very quickly. And we'll get this one done too. But the hatred is, hatred's an amazing thing. People do bad things, and people don't get things done when the hatred is too great. That's a lot of it. Just as we formed a coalition to eradicate ISIS in the Middle East, we must now do the same thing to eradicate the cartels at home. So we did eradicate ISIS. Now, during the 4 years, we had a rigged election. You probably read about it, probably heard something. So it gave me 4 years to contemplate and to stage my comeback. I staged big comeback. They say it was a comeback. I didn't think it was a comeback because I had the people on my side. So I didn't view it as a comeback, but they did everything possible during that 4 years. They're crooked politicians, dirty cops. They're dirty cops. They did everything possible to make it impossible for me to win. And I won in a landslide. But during that period of time, I learned a lot. And I learned how you people, and I saw it so badly, how you're suffering with what's happening with the crime in the region. And I said, if we ever come back, we're going to eradicate that crime. And I'm going to work with you. And if you want, we're going to do it. We can do it pretty easily. As part of our commitment to countering the cartel presence in our region, we must recognize the epicenter of cartel violence is Mexico. The Mexican cartels are fueling and orchestrating much of the bloodshed and chaos in this hemisphere, and the United States government will do whatever is necessary to defend our national security and to protect the safety of the American people. No, look, it's coming through Mexico. And I like the president very much. She's a very good person. She's got a beautiful voice, a beautiful woman, but a beautiful voice. President. I said, let me eradicate the cartels. No, please, President. We have to eradicate them. We have to knock the hell out of them because they're getting worse. They're taking over their country. The cartels are running Mexico. We can't have that. Too close to us, too close to you. But everything comes in through Mexico, mostly. At the same time, all of us must recommit to ensuring that law and order within our own nations, and that includes showing zero tolerance for the gang activity, tremendous gang activity in Venezuela. That's in much better shape than it ever has been. We've developed a great relationship in Venezuela. The savages who murder and rape with impunity must be permanently removed from society. We must not allow our criminal justice systems to be corrupted so that they protect these criminals and animals at the expense of your people. And for some reason, all over the world, this is a region that has problems that other regions don't have. They have different problems, but they don't have this problem. The United States last year, we achieved the largest drop in murder rate in recorded history. We have the lowest murder rate in 125 years. Hard to believe because, I don't know, it's, we've got a lot of them out, but we allowed through the Biden policies and Obama, who was another terrible president, by the way. It was Barack Hussein Obama, terrible president. He was a divider, great divider. I call him the great divider. But they allowed a lot of people into our country that shouldn't be here, but in particular Biden, because Biden had no idea what he was doing. He had no clue. It was being run by whoever got near the auto pen was running the country. He was the auto pen president, and frankly, they let at least 25 million people come in to our country, some from prisons, some from mental institutions, gang members, the heads of gangs, the mentally insane. I'll tell you, people came in from mental institutions and insane asylums, and we took them. We had an open border policy. It's a policy divided and devised by idiots, but they poured into our country. So we went from the worst border in history to by far the best border. We have the best, strongest border that we've ever had. We have great people that did that job. By securing our border and cracking down on traffickers and smugglers, we've reduced the fentanyl pouring across our border by 67%. This is in our first year, give me a little more time, we'll do better. 67%, which is a number that's unthinkable. They say if you could do 2%, 1%, but we got it down 67%. And we got a lot of the murderers out. We had 11,888 murderers allowed in our country with this ridiculous open border policy that these eggheads put in. But we're also working closely with you on ending human smuggling and the implementing of the safe third country agreements, which are very important. In January, America's armed forces also ended the reign of one of the biggest cartel kingpins of all, with the Operation Absolute Resolve to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice in a precision raid that nobody's ever seen anything like it. This was in a very powerful military base, fort. And they went in and they took him out and they got him out, and people couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. We were right into the heart and took him out. And it was nasty. It was about 18 minutes of pure violence. And we took him out. We lost nobody. Not one person was lost. Not one aircraft or no military equipment, zero. People have never seen anything like it. And you're talking about into a military base with a lot of soldiers, good soldiers. Since that operation, we've been working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, who's doing a great job working with us. I mean, she's doing a great job because she's working with us. If she wasn't working with us, I would not say she's doing a great job. In fact, if she wasn't working with us, I'd say she's doing a very poor job. Unacceptable. No, but she's doing a great job, Marco, right? And she gets along great with Marco. And we're taking out tremendous amounts of oil. They're making more money now than they've ever made. We have the big oil companies in. They are making more money. We're getting some. They're getting a lot. They're making more money now than they've ever made in the history of their country. Can you imagine? And it's being spent properly, and they're watching it closely. And I'm pleased to say that this week we have formally recognized the Venezuelan government. We've actually legally recognized them. We have also just reached a historic gold deal. It's called the gold deal with Venezuela to allow our two countries to work together to facilitate the sale of Venezuelan gold and other minerals. They have great amounts of gold. They have good land. I tell you, it's very good land. But they weren't able to take advantage. The system didn't allow them to take advantage of the value of their land. As we achieve a historic transformation in Venezuela, we're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money, they have no oil, they have a bad philosophy, they have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. And they used to get the money from Venezuela, they get the oil from Venezuela, but they don't have any money from Venezuela, they don't have any oil, they don't have anything from, people can't even, they land in Cuba, they can't get gasoline to fly out, they have to leave their planes behind. And they want to negotiate, and they are negotiating with Marco and myself and some others. And I would think a deal would be made very easily with Cuba. But for 50 years I've been hearing, as a little boy, I'd be hearing about Cuba. You know, Cuba's a disaster. But I've been hearing so much about Cuba. But Cuba's in its last moments of life, as it was. It'll have a great new life, but it's in its last moments of life the way it is. And but our focus right now is on Iran, and we'll do that. I would say, what will you do? Take about 2 days off, Marco? No, he won't. Maybe an hour. He'll take 1 hour off, and then he'll finish up a deal on Cuba. That'll be an easy one. But it'll be the entire region that we're doing that. Many of you have come today, and they say, I hope you can take care of Cuba, because you've had problems with Cuba, right? You mentioned. I was surprised, but 4 of you said, actually, could you do us a favor? Take care of Cuba. I'll take care of it, okay? So, and as these situations in Venezuela and Cuba should make clear under our new doctrine, and it is a doctrine, we will not allow hostile foreign influence to gain a foothold in this hemisphere. That includes the Panama Canal, which we talked about. We're not going to allow it. And together we'll protect our sovereignty, our security, and our cherished freedom and independence. And just in finishing up, the nations gathered here today are filled with unlimited potential. You have tremendous potential. It's a great part of the world. But to fulfill that tremendous potential, we must smash the grip of the cartels and criminal gangs and horrible organizations run by, in some cases, absolute animals, and truly liberate our people. And some people are afraid to do it because they've gotten such a foothold. But I think you can get out of that, and we'll work with you if you need. With the courage and resolve of the leaders in this room, great leaders, will make our nation safer, stronger, richer, and more successful than ever before. So I want to thank you all very much for coming. I look forward to the incredible progress that's soon to come. You're going to see some incredible things. And now I'd like to ask Secretary Rubio and Secretary Hegseth to say a few words, and then I'll sign a proclamation formally launching the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, which is what it is. It's a counter cartel coalition. And thank you all for being here very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank all the leaders that are here today. I'll be very brief. First of all, Mr. President, thank you for making this region a priority. We've had successive American presidents say that the Western Hemisphere is going to be a priority, and they never do it. And the President has made it a personal priority. He's also a president of action. It's why I believe he will go down as the most historic figure, one of the most historic figures in American history, and certainly of the last 100 years, because of what he has been able to do and is doing right now with the Western Hemisphere. Thank you for your bold leadership. It's an honor to be able to serve in your administration. And Mr. President, 2 points I want to make. The first is we have a lot of allies around the world, and we are grateful for our allies. And the countries represented here today, all 12 of the leaders here, are allies. But they're more than allies. They're friends. At a time when we have learned that oftentimes an ally, when you need them, maybe may not be there for you, these are countries that have been there for us, and these are leaders that are not just allies, they are friends, and they are always willing to work and cooperate with the United States, and we're grateful for them. And as you said, Mr. President, these are also countries with extraordinary potential. Some are fulfilling it, some are well on their way to fulfilling it, and this is important. We want to be a partner with you in that. We want the world to see that when you are a friend and an ally of the United States, it is a good thing. It's reciprocated. It comes back the other way as well. And so the fact the President is here today and making this a priority is so critical. If I may, because some of these cameras cover in Spanish. You all right? Oh, good. Please. We don't need an interpreter for this one. Quiero darle las gracias. I think I'm a good interpreter. You'll find out in a second. But las gracias a los países que están aquí hoy. Estos países, primero, el presidente ha hecho esta región una prioridad en su administración. Hay muchos presidentes que han dicho que lo van a hacer, pero él lo ha hecho y se lo agradecemos. Y muy agradecido a los 12 países que están aquí hoy. Estos son países que no solamente son aliados, son amigos. Son países que siempre responden cuando hay una necesidad y trabajan en conjunto con nosotros, y queda mucho por hacer. Estos son países que tienen una gran población, mucho potencial, y queremos ser sus socios en desarrollar a sus países, sus economías y su seguridad. Y le doy las gracias de verdad por estar aquí en el día de hoy con nosotros. Que Dios bendiga a todos esos países, a los Estados Unidos, y gracias como siempre por la cooperación. Seguiremos trabajando en conjunto y vamos a hacer cosas muy buenas, muy importantes para esta región, que van a hacer que en las generaciones futuras nos van a agradecer el labor que estamos haciendo en el momento de hoy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is he better in Spanish or in English? I think he's better in Spanish. I mean, it's great. Pete, please.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, I only speak American.
I speak Cuban.
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here and to establish in this hemisphere peace through strength. For far too long, our country's gaze was only on borders in far-flung places. Not our own border, not our own hemisphere, not the Western Hemisphere. President Trump has established the Trump corollary of the Monroe Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. And the War Department is implementing it as fast as we can. In fact, 2 days ago, Mr. President, we launched 18 countries were signatories to the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, ACCC, which is not just an organization that's going to hold conferences and release white papers. That's not what we exist to do. It's an action coalition of like-minded countries who are going to bring their capabilities to bear, with American leadership at the forefront, to ensure we attack and get after this cartel challenge, which for far too long we have accepted as some new normal in our own countries. President Trump and the American people rejected that in our own. We don't have to live with communities flooded with drugs or violence or cartels and gangs. We can seal our border, and we have to for our citizens. We share a hemisphere and geography. We share cultures, Western Christian civilization. We share these things together. We have to have the courage to defend it. And we have a commander-in-chief in our country who's set that compass heading. And at the War Department, we look forward to working with all of your countries and more that are not here to say, with our shared assets and our intelligence and our capabilities, with American leadership, we will go on offense against the cartels. They will know that we're just around the corner. Whether it's drug boats or on land, we look, the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, the ACCC, will be a force for good, for peace through strength in this hemisphere. And we look forward to working with your great countries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Would you like to come up and surround us here? Thank you. Keep that music going. Keep it going. Nice picture. Thank you.
You just heard the commander-in-chief speaking to the Shield of America conference in Doral at his resort in Doral. Miami, Florida, very close to his heart, hemispheric defense, the Dunroe Doctrine. We're going to now continue on with the war room. Remember, for planning purposes, the President of the United States as Commander-in-Chief will be at approximately 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today at Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer of our honored dead. Short break. Back to the war minimum.
They tried to shut them up.
There's no guarantee to free speech.
They tried to cancel them.
Deplatforming works.
They even threw them in jail.
Peter Navarro,
Steve Bannon,
now in prison.
But they couldn't stop them.
It's not a prison bill that will ever shut me up.
They call them rebels.
Basket of deplorables.
They call them rogues.
They claim to guns or religion.
And they say they're outlaws.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
War Room presents Rebels, Rogues, and Outlaws.
You set out to take Vienna. Take Vienna!
The national bestseller by longtime Bannon producer Dan Fluette. Take a journey through the pictorial history of War Room in a culture that celebrates the weak. Show your support by standing with the rebels. Go to doitfluette.com or scan the QR code on your screen. Use the code RAV20 for 20% off your order. Stand with the rebels and never back down. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's Saturday, 7 March in the year of our Lord 2026. Already started off. This is going to be another big day. Just logistics. President Trump just spoke at the Shield of America. This is his hemispheric defense strategy. The entire weekend is going to be various speakers down there, and Rav Espinol is going to cover it wall to wall. Also, we have a dignified transfer of the remains of our honored dead that is supposed to take place at approximately 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Dover Air Force Base. The president is going to be in attendance and will, as Commander-in-Chief, oversee the ceremony. And he will leave shortly from South Florida. In addition, we are going to do a War Room, our Sunday special. We're going to continue on 7 days a week until that time that the major combat operations slow down, cease, end, off-ramp, or, as President Trump's been talking about, an unconditional surrender. Today's even going to be a little truncated given the timing that we've got and try to jam everything in. So we're here today. Raheem Kassam's going to join me. We got Dr. Bradley Thayer. Also, Philip Patrick going to go a lot of geopolitics and strategy, update on the military operations, and Philip Patrick going to talk about capital markets. In addition, the other thing to be watching is it is a long way from over from John Cornyn and Ken Paxton in Texas. Over the last 24 to 48 hours, you see it Breitbart and Caroline Wren and many, many others going through John Cornyn's really not just lack of support for President Trump, but really against President Trump in so many major areas. These clips are starting to surface and get traction, and you have major voices on the right, including, I think, Jesse Kelly was on Megyn Kelly yesterday, another voice in there, just bringing up the concept that John Cornyn has not had President Trump's back. Even more importantly, having spent, I don't know, the last 5 or so weeks in Texas and getting to know the grassroots. And the grassroots in Texas is enormously powerful. and really are the key and the cornerstone of the Trump movement here and having President Trump's back. I just think and I think this can actually have an inflection point, hopefully, in modern politics. The scale and the vitriol coming after Ken Paxton with $80 million essentially of negative ads was a big eye-opener to people in Texas, the grassroots. And I believe, and more analysis has to be done, I just don't think this whole, that John Cornyn's by nature the guy that could be Tirico. I don't know if that's true at all. Number one, I think Tirico is a much, much weaker candidate than particularly the D.C. and the political media in D.C. If you saw him on the campaign trail here and you've seen his previous, what he's really stood for and what he's presented, he is a far left radical and kind of a weird guy. That's all going to start coming out. So I don't think he's, I said from the beginning, I didn't think he'd be as formidable as Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett's a fire breather. Now, she had obviously major shortcomings. Her campaign at the end didn't really have much of a ground game. I think that's what the big thing is separated. Plus the Democratic establishment didn't want her. You saw the whole Colbert, that whole situation was set up to thwart her. But I don't think they make him out like some incredibly powerful candidate. I just don't see it. I think Ken Paxton's a guy, and I think the grassroots are really building momentum behind Ken Paxton. That's all going to play out. Raheem's going to be here in a moment to talk about it. Also, in addition, I think one of the galvanizing things we've seen here in Texas over the last couple of weeks is this Proposition 10, which is about banning or prohibiting, I think the term is, prohibiting Sharia law in the state of Texas. And now you're seeing the second wave, as Brian Harrison and others talked about, trying to get public hearings in the Texas legislature, because Texas legislature, unless they call a special session, doesn't meet till next year. I do believe they're going to call a special session. Governor Abbott has designated the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE as terrorist organizations, already, I think, listed. They can't own real property. I mean, this is going to be a fight. They're just not going to roll over, particularly CARE has fought everywhere. But it's very important, especially as you see what's happening in this war. And particularly see what's happening with our allies in Great Britain. The entire phoniness of the first couple of hours of the military operation, when the United Kingdom would not let us use the airfield to do strikes out of because of the power of the Muslim members of the House of Commons in the Labour Party. And now we find out they wanted to have Starmer and this crowd wanted to have some kind of phony, just give us 6 hours. So no, it doesn't work like that. You're either an ally or not. And this is all inextricably linked with what's happening in Europe, the migrant invasion in Europe, the Islamization of Europe, and what's happening in the United States. That's why Texas was so important, to actually be the place where we stop it and reverse it. And you can see right now, overnight, one of the biggest developments is, and one of the things we've been most focused on here, is the center of gravity of this, which I believe has been the center of gravity of really the context and strategic context of the war, maybe not the center of gravity in a Clausewitzian sense of battle, because that's clearly been around Tehran and command and control. And as the military goes through a very CENTCOM goes through a very set target list to degrade the Iranian military. And President Trump says today it really be destruction. He's talking about unconditional surrender, and unconditional surrender, as Caroline Leavitt refined, was President Trump's thinking that it would be the inability of the Iranian military or the Revolutionary Guard to both do power projection on their own people or certainly power projection in the region. And that's one of the things I find most fascinating. And now overnight, we made a big deal about it yesterday, but overnight, the Iranian foreign minister has come out and said they will have, for right now, have no more strikes on their Gulf neighbors. The biggest part of this story to me in the first couple of days is Shiite versus Sunni, Muslim versus Muslim, Persian versus Arab. The strikes in the Persian Gulf. I think one of the things that triggered the Iranians to say this is, as we talked about yesterday and we'll talk further today, is the seizing of financial assets, just like the West seized the financial assets of the Russians in the Ukraine-Russian war, and I think had a major impact on Russia. It's one of the many reasons I think they haven't made a lot of progress. They still about 20-25% of Ukraine. They haven't made a lot of progress, I think, because of the financial restrictions put on them when the Western banks seized their assets, something we hadn't done to the Nazis or to Imperial Japan in World War II or to the Bolsheviks or even to the Chinese Communist Party. Dubai, which is I call like, Tortuga for the Caribbean pirates, this center. A little known fact is that the Iranians, as much as the Gulf Arabs have always been at their throat and vice versa, the banking center, the financial center for them is not Switzerland, it's really Dubai. And this is the way that they've gotten around sanctions. Well, the UAE, because they took enough hits, said, hey, we are thinking of and contemplating seizing the Iranians' assets in our banks. And lo and behold, 12 hours later, the Iranians say, well, upon further review, maybe we're going to have a timeout. We're going to have a pause on any more strikes into the Gulf. Now, Qatar said yesterday, it's reported in Reuters and in the Financial Times of London, that the Qatar oil minister said, hey, because I think they've shut down one of their big gas fields. I think it's the gas field they're in joint operation with the Iranians, said oil could go to $150 a barrel. Now, a lot of that is just propaganda, but there's clearly oil, I think, has gone up 35%. I think it's gone up almost 40 or 50% since Netanyahu went to Mar-a-Lago in December, as we now know is one of the big kickoff meetings. The oil market is an efficient market. Tons of information out there, a lot of traders that trade. This is why I had Eric Bowling. So let's get into the show. We're going to take a short commercial break just to go back tomorrow at 10 a.m., if we can pull it off technically, which I'm sure we can with Real America's Voice, our great team in Denver, and also our team here, the War Room team. We're going to have another Sunday morning special at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon. Today's going to be a little bifurcated because there's so much going on. Like I said, we've got Shield of Americas right now in Miami, and that's the hemispheric defense. You're going to want to dip in and out of that all day. The Espanol guys, Rev's a new channel, are going to cover that wall to wall. Quite fascinating. Also, the dignified transfer of our honored dead will take place approximately 1:30 p.m. at Dover Air Force Base in Dover, Delaware, and the President of the United States, as Commander-in-Chief, will be there. I want to thank all of our sponsors, particularly Patriot Mobile, 972 Patriot. If you want to back a company that backs you, a Christian company that has your values and backs your values, and I can tell you just extraordinary work they've done here in Texas. And Texas, and I say this as a Virginian, is the jewel in the crown of our republic. As goes Texas, so goes the country. I want to thank Patriot Mobile, 972 Patriot. When you call right now, you're going to talk to somebody with an East Texas accent that can help you look through the various different ways, perturbations, let's say, of your phone service. So make sure you check it out, talk to them, find out about the Christian values of Patriot Mobile and how they're active everywhere. Also, Birch Gold, our Saturday sponsor forever has been Birch Gold. Times of financial turbulence, you got one now. We talk about geopolitical risk and gold being a hedge against geopolitical risk. That's a fancy term for war and the rumors of war. We'll take a short commercial break. We're going to be back in a moment. Raheem Kassam is going to join me. Let's let it rip. See you in a moment.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Nugenix Total T2.
From the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC comes Nugenix Total T2, a unique new formula that combines the ultimate free and total testosterone booster with a powerful nitric oxide booster that works in just 3 hours. Feel like a new man, leaner, stronger, with more energy and drive. Get your complimentary bottle by texting SURGE to 321-321.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
You can only try before you buy with this special offer. Get your complimentary bottle now. Text SURGE to 321-321. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X absolutely free.
Don't you hate that dirty old hose? It kinks, splits, and it always leaks. And it's way too heavy to carry around. It's time to get the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead. Just turn on the water and watch it grow to a full-size hose. It stretches and expands like a rubber band. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the new Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees. Just connect to the spigot and watch it pivot. And when you turn off the water, away it goes, shrinking back to a pocket-size hose. And it makes it easy to carry and put away. Copperhead. It's the hose that grows and pivots, flexes, and sprays. It puts itself away for another day. The Pocket Hose is so unique and so innovative, it was awarded over 100 patents. Call or go online now to get the super light 25-foot Pocket Hose Copperhead today for only $39.99. But wait, order right now and you'll receive an instant $10 discount. So it's only $29.99. And it gets better. Order right now and get our copper spray nozzle with our exclusive thumb drive free. Simply use your thumb to turn it on or off. And with 10 unique patterns, you'll have a setting for every job. A $30 value. Yours free with every 50-foot Copperhead. Plus, Copperhead comes with a full 10-year warranty. It's that durable. That means you can order right now with total confidence. But this special offer is not available in stores or on Amazon. So order right here, right now. And with rising costs, this may be your last chance at this low price. There is a strict limit of 3 per order. So don't wait. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-957-6191 or visit getcopperhead.com. So call 1-800-957-6191 or visit getcopperhead.com. Order now.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, welcome back. Raheem joins us now. So a couple of things I want to catch up with Raheem on, pieces over the National Pulse, et cetera. But Raheem, I do think that you've got one of the best overall strategic views of exactly what's happening here. And one of the reasons for that is that you have dealt with the Islamic invasion of Europe, I don't know, for 10 years. In fact, when we first started Breitbart London, one of the reasons that we came to you, you had your own site at the time to get you to be the editor. We could tell that that was going to be a huge problem. And eventually that, we never realized it would come to Brexit that quickly, but that'd be one of the big drivers, that this mass migration was going to be huge. You were also the very first person ever told me in 2014, he says, hey, I got to get over to Ukraine. And I go, why are you going to Ukraine? He goes, they're having a color revolution over there. And I go, walk me through this. Are you sure you're just not going to go over to the party? So given all that, given we still have a war in Ukraine going on, given that we still have a massive issue with our supposed allies, the United Kingdom and France and Germany, this war, and I find the most intriguing part of this war, the war of the Muslims against themselves, the Persians versus the Gulf states, particularly when Israel is clearly, the Greater Israel Project is alive and thriving, as they now are going after all enemies, right, little and small. So walk me through strategically, especially when President Trump has said we have to have unconditional surrender. Now, he did walk that back and say, hey, unconditional surrender to me is when they have no more military ability to do power projection, both on their own people and outside the region. But I do want a hand in shaping what this government is. Give us the overview of the entire thing as you see it right now.
Yeah. How long do you have? because it's been a good 15 odd years now that we've been concerning ourselves with all these things, and there are people who have done it far longer than me, for sure. But I seem to have managed to find myself on the front lines of all of these fights somewhere along the way. Call it journalistic intuition, or
but hold it. But you say a lot of people. You say a lot of people have done it. You came to me in those couple of years when I was leaving Breitbart and going to help the president. The whole thing with the no-go zones. You were able to identify in those periods of time exactly what were going to be the most important issues. And that's why I think people look to you, right, as somebody that just is not some Johnny-come-lately, but somebody that's been dealing with this topic that President Trump is now deeply into, and this is a kinetic part of it. My concern is this thing could spread to the kinetic part of the Third World War quite quickly.
Look, I think if you do remember that sort of that far back, I used to call into the old Breitbart radio shows from on the road as I was writing this book. So I called from Brussels, I called in from Paris, I called in from Molenbeek, I called in from Malmo. And I have I literally have copies on my desk because I have to thumb through it sometimes and remind myself, oh my gosh, we were talking about these things that are manifesting themselves now, all those years ago. And I almost kind of want to do a telethon sometimes, right? A live telethon, because I know people have so many questions about it. And whenever people, approach me in the street or come to me at the restaurant or whatever it is, and they want to talk, line by line about this stuff, Ukraine, these things. And now you're seeing, exactly kind of what I remember when we were making that movie, The Brink. Not a great movie, by the way. But when we were making that movie, The Brink, you were drawing on the front page of a newspaper the kind of the different axes going on in the world between China and Persia and Russia and all of this stuff. And people forget, how quickly people forget, by the way. Especially, when you bring in the Texas element to all of this now, right? Because John Cornyn was up there in the Senate all those years ago talking about Russia collusion. We need to get to the bottom of how Russia hacked our elections. So the idea that Trump would be even entertaining the idea of endorsing him now is horrendous to me. But you look, I back then I was writing about, we're going to have to think about Turkey's membership of NATO, right? Like the way it's trending, the Islamist regime there. Now, of course, the Wall Street Journal jumps the gun, goes way too. I said, the next war might have to be with Turkey. Hold on, you're going to go to war with a NATO member now? You could have resolved this when I wrote about it back then and said, actually, we have to remove the nuclear deterrent from Turkey, the American nukes that are there. Remember after I wrote that piece, there was an attempted coup, and they were desperately worried about where those materials would end up. And now the Wall Street Journal wants to start a war with Turkey. So there's all of this precipice. Remember last week we talked about the AI precipice, right? There's all this precipice of a full-blown global conflict right now. And you've got the CCP and Russia very clearly about to aid Iran in this whole process. So where do we go from there? Do we find ourselves in kinetic warfare with China by the end of the year? Maybe. I would hope not, and I certainly believe that President Trump has the wherewithal to avoid that kind of thing. But as I think we are on some really, really poor trajectories.
Is this fight between the Persians and really the Shiites, which you can tell one of the things they're trying to do is to bring max instability to the monarchies in the Gulf. Do you think you're going to see that start to play out in the Muslim communities, particularly these volatile communities in London and Paris? I mean, today they've been united against hating with, and even with the Marxists of this Red-Green Alliance that hate the Judeo-Christian West and particularly hate the governments and especially governments that have white people in it and white people running it. Do you see, because now this thing amazes me that during Ramadan, they're at each other's throats. And clearly, if the Persians, I think, are saying, hey, if we're going down under the boot of Israel and the United States and they're going to pound us into dust, we're going to take you guys down with it because we have, as many Shiites in some of the Emiratis as laborers as you guys have as the monarchs. You think that starts to break out in Europe also?
It's already there. I mean, on Thursday, I kid you not, you had horse-mounted modern-day Saracens on the streets of Manchester, chasing pro-Iran democracy protesters on horseback in the middle of Manchester City, in England. The Home Secretary of the United Kingdom is a practicing Muslim. This is the Home Secretary is responsible for who comes in and who goes out of the country. It is the equivalent of your Interior Secretary, your DHS Secretary, all of this rolled into one. This is already there. It's already there in a massive way. And by the way, what was the strapline of the book? How Sharia law is coming to a neighborhood near you. It's coming to you, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you are in Texas, whether you are in New York, whether you are in Florida, it is already here. And we tried to tell people that a decade ago. And
but hang on. I also want to make sure that I want to make sure people understand. I think because of the explosive nature of that book, and Raheem took time and actually went into particularly in Brussels, I think some of the Midland cities, but Brussels, you went into the areas where you couldn't go, right? That you went and gave an eyewitness account. I think you were banned on Fox, and then I think Frank Gaffney, who had been inspired by your book, started talking about it. He was permanently banned on Fox. The reaction to this by the Republican establishment at the time, and conservative Inc. media, was they didn't want to talk about this, that this crossed a line, that what Raheem had done, what is this Sharia law? And this is racist, this is nativist, this is xenophobic. And they didn't want to talk about it. And here we're in Texas, 10 years later, and we have Prop 10 on the ballot that gets almost 2 million votes, 95% approval by Republican voters, and it inspired people so much to come together. It was the first question asked at the Attorney General's debate, at the agriculture debate. And basically, everybody had to sign on for this, or you wouldn't be an elected official in the state of Texas, Raheem.
Listen, I'll quote from you from the back of the book, right? From the jacket. No-go zone should be required reading for conservatives, Republicans, liberals, teachers, students, reporters, editors, and activists all alike. You know who gave me that quote? That was none other than the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. That would be one Nigel Farage. And you think about how far we've come, how much we've won about this stuff. And look, you've seen on the streets of England, on the streets of Wales, in fact, you want to talk parochial, fights between Turks and Kurds going on, right? Imported into Nissan tribal warfare that's been going on Western streets. And this stuff is spilling out all over the place. 10 years ago, it was just in these enclaves, as you mentioned, the ones I went to, Molenbeek, East London, Midlands, Malmo, south of France, Béziers, all of these places. Now you're seeing it. You started to see it 2 years ago, right? All across college campuses, all across the United States. Now it's coming to all these other neighborhoods too. And thank God there are other people now who are out there with cameras. But back in the day, I was the only one. And credit to Nick Saltor and Nick Shirley and all these guys who go out there and document this stuff, because God knows I don't have the patience for it anymore. And I kind of get recognized everywhere I go. But I still remember there was a time I was out in London, Steve, with a camera, and this guy with the keffiyeh on his head, he was standing outside 10 Downing Street, and they were having some like pro-Islamist protest, and I went over to him, and he thinks, oh, I kind of look like him, and I was a bit discreet about what I was doing. He goes, let me show you something, and he lifts up his T-shirt, and he's got another T-shirt under it, and it's just a picture of Adolf Hitler, and he starts going, right. I was like, what the heck is going on here? It's one of those moments where you just realize, you can't do anything but laugh in the moment, but you realize just how mortifying it is that these people not just live amongst us, let's be very clear about it, get preferential treatment by the state from us. If I had stayed a Muslim and identified as a Muslim, I'd probably be the Home Secretary by now. But I chose a moral path and a correct path and a patriotic path, and I have a book to show for
it. Or you would have you'd be hosting the 9 p.m. show on BBC as the number one political commentator. I mean, it's true. You'd be either the Home Secretary or you would be the number one guy on BBC presenting every night. That's just the way the system is, that you stepped out as a British subject and said, hey, we're going to destroy our country here you've worked your tail off to save it. Real quickly, I'm going to hold you through the break because I'm going to talk Texas politics. But I remember listening to Pacifica Radio, back in 2003, out in California, one of the left-wing radio stations, public radio stations. But I remember they had some guests on as we were doing the march up to Baghdad. And one of the guests said, hey, these guys have the best military in the world, but they don't understand the hornet's nest they're kicking over of ancient vendettas and this tribalism that's in Iraq with the Shiites and the Sunnis. Do you think we've done that? We got a minute here. I'm going to hold you through the break. Do you think we've done that here with all this amazing military might that we're dropping on the Persians, that maybe we kicked over a hornet's nest, that we haven't thought through all the hornets?
There will have been certainly calculations internally in the government about, what it means to do this and how much blowback, right? That's the phrase, one can expect. There won't be none. President Trump said it himself last week. He said there will be more people, Americans, who die as a result of this conflict. They will have certainly thought about it. They would have thought it's worth it in some way geopolitically. And the only thing that occurs to me that might be the case is to create the chaos, create the vacuum, keep these allies of China down. This is the consideration that they've made. It's a big gamble.
Raheem, hang on for a second. We're going to go. Raheem's going to join us and talk about Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, an explosive race, this runoff in Texas. Birchgold.com. Promo code Bannon. Go there today. The end of the dollar empire. Yes, the dollar's been strong for this week as people flight to quality, but gold is on the rise again. Find out why. Talk to Philip Patrick. Philip is going to be here for the last, half hour of the show, we hope, to talk all about it. But go there today. Birchgold.com. Promo code Bannon.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Some guys took my advice about how to boost their testosterone, and some didn't. This guy got the message loud and clear.
That's right, Nugenix Total T2.
From the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC comes Nugenix Total T2, a unique new formula that combines the ultimate free and total testosterone booster with a powerful nitric oxide booster that works in just 3 hours. Feel like a new man, leaner, stronger, with more energy and drive. Get your complimentary bottle by texting SURGE to 321-321.
Thanks. It'll make you feel like a new man. And by the way, she'll like it too.
You can only try before you buy with this special offer. Get your complimentary bottle now. Text SURGE to 321-321. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X absolutely free.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
President Trump ended the nightmare for almost all January 6 defendants when he delivered on his promise to pardon those who suffered through our two-tiered system of justice. But there are still 12 January 6 defendants whose fights are far from over. These J6ers still face overwhelming legal battles. Scan the QR code now or visit j6support.com to help stand in the gap push for pardons for these patriots. Many have lost their jobs, homes, and life savings due to prolonged incarceration, and even though they've had their sentences commuted, they still cannot vote, possess firearms, receive any military pensions and retirement benefits, obtain health care coverage for themselves and their families, or secure employment. Stand in the Gap is renewing our Justice Restoration Fund to advocate for full pardons for these patriots. Please visit j6support.com or scan the QR code to support our fight for justice for these January 6 defendants. Your gift today helps us partner with reputable attorneys and legal advisors to ensure they have a fair chance at winning their cases and having their rights restored. Please donate today to let these J6ers know that they are not forgotten. Scan the QR code or visit j6support.com to make a tax-deductible donation to our Justice Restoration Fund. President Trump delivered on his promise to pardon January 6 defendants, but there are still 12 whose fights are far from over. Even though they've had their sentences commuted, they still cannot vote, possess firearms, receive military pensions and retirement benefits, obtain health care coverage, or secure employment. Stand in the Gap is renewing our Justice Restoration Fund to advocate for full pardons for these patriots. Please visit j6support.com or scan the QR code to support our fight for justice. Scan the QR code or visit j6support.com to make a tax-deductible donation to our Justice Restoration Fund today.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
My Patriot Supply, the best in the business for the preparation industry. Go to preparewithbannon.com. That's all one word, preparewithbannon.com. You get a free 1-week food supply ammo can when you order the 4-week emergency food supply. And normally the food supply is $367. They're giving it to you for $277. You get a massive discount. Plus you get the ammo can, the food ammo can. Go check it out. Remember, My Patriot Supply is the best because they're not just simply the products, the customer service to walk you through everything. Preparewithbannon.com. Go check it out today, My Patriot Supply. Raheem Kassam, you've put up some amazing tweets on this situation, including exposing, I guess, the comms director for. Here's what I understand. The whole Cornyn, to the core of his being, he's been a Trump hater. And this is why I told the Washington Post, it's not simply the policies, which are bad enough, that the grassroots and the MAGA movement out here are not fans. They don't like him for that. They don't like the policies. But there is a hardcore, and I think it's 10 to 20% that will never vote for him because of his outright hatred for Trump that's just below the surface, and particularly in every time that President Trump's been vulnerable. People out here in Texas don't forget, and that's why I think he's by far the worst candidate, just mathematically, because you just got a central core base of Trump's base, even with an endorsement, even as much as they love President Trump, they're going to sit this one out. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I do think that. I think especially as this case gets litigated further in the runoff, a lot more is going to come out about the nexus around John Cornyn. You know, for a long time, it's sort of been a policy thing, right? John Cornyn doesn't vote with the president as often as people would like. You know, they put this figure out, 97%, but that includes like procedural votes. When you actually get down to like policy, it's more like 60%. But this is going further than that now. People are starting to look at the people he actually has around him, who he's hired as staff over the years, who he still retains as staff over the years. I'll tell you funny stories. A couple of nights ago, one of his guys was tweeting angrily at me, and I didn't think anything of it at first, but it was late at night. I was in bed, and I thought to myself, I recognize this name from somewhere, way back when from somewhere. And his name was Matt Mackowiak, and I went, I somewhat recall this guy reaching out to me at a certain point. Let me go through my big honking Oppo drive that I keep and see what I have on the guy. And of course, the first thing that pops up was this tweet he had sent on January 6th, 2021, where he said, "We are witnessing domestic terrorism." That's a direct quote from John Cornyn's current communications director, calling J6 domestic terrorism. And guess who had liked that tweet on X, by the way? That would be Chris Lasavita. That's Cornyn's current campaign chief, by the way. And then I started to go through other things, and we're gonna release some of this stuff over the weekend, but we already did one on Friday on all of this, where I sort of dug through Matt Mackowiak's entire history. And by the way, he's got some very choice things to say about you, and has done since about 2011 or 12, I think. It goes back that far.
To the Breitbart days.
100%. And I've got a whole story coming out on all the BS that he's talked about Breitbart over the years. I have a whole story coming out about how he was pro-George Floyd when George Floyd was killed, and actually tried to pitch me an op-ed, a pro-George Floyd op-ed for the National Pulse, and I have the emails that prove it, that show I turned him down quite robustly. But some of his tweets about the president are the most important here. He went on long and lengthy tirades against the president, not just in 2016, not just in 2017, not just in 2018, not just in 2019, not just in 2020, in 2021 also, in 2022 also, in 2023 also. And then if 2024 rolls around, he puts out a tweet where he says, look, I still back basically anybody but Trump. But then when Trump is inevitably going to win, he tries to flip, right? And he buys his way, he spends an inordinate amount of time and other people's money buying his way into the election night party in Palm Beach. I mean, this is the worst of the Rhino Brigade. I was going to say here in Washington, D.C., but he's not here in Washington, D.C. He's in Austin, Texas. And he's been in Austin, Texas politics for a very long time. And he's had a fair share of run-ins with MAGA people in Texas. So if you're John Cornyn, you know this guy's actually relatively high profile, never Trumper. I mean, he had Bill Kristol on his podcast. He had Chris Matthews on his podcast. He had the guy Mona Charen from The Bulwark all these Never Trump organizations on his podcast. You'd think if you're Cornyn or your Cornyn's staffers, like, hey, maybe we don't have this guy being our front line of attack on social media and in the press every day. But this is the kind of people that we're dealing with. It's not the deep state. It's the in-your-face state, if you remember. He talked about Trump being given enough rope to hang himself at the debates. He peddled the Russia hoax. He said it is outrageous and dangerous and ridiculous for an American president to take Vladimir Putin's word over that of the U.S. intelligence community. That was over the Russia hoax, remember. He said every single person who said that Trump should have the G7 at Doral should be fired. He referred to Trump as a drunk driver at the wheel, chugging vodka. He's going to lose this election. I mean, over and over and over again. He demanded a purge of MAGA from the GOP. He called Trump's election an extinction-level event for the Republican Party. Anyway, I could go on, but this is all at thenationalpulse.com.
But
and Matt, if you're watching this, there's going to be a lot more.
All this weekend, so you're going to be putting stuff up. Raheem, how do people get to the National Pulse? Now more than ever, you need to go. It's on my media diet, the first thing in the morning. Where do people go to get it?
Yeah, thenationalpulse.com, thenationalpulse.com. We're all over social media as well at The National Pulse. You can follow me, Raheem Kassam. And remember, we're 100% supported by ordinary people donating from their homes, $5, $10, whatever you can afford. Thenationalpulse.com. And it's important to get this sort of information out there so that Texas voters can make an informed decision.
Raheem Kassam. Raheem, you're at your best when you're in a fight. Raheem gets when the juices get rolling, Raheem's always the first on the rampart, like an old medieval knight. Thank you so much, Raheem Kassam. National Pulse, incredible. Check it out all weekend. Also, Raheem connects more dots than anybody. And one of the things we learned here, connecting directly what was going on in London to what's going on in Texas was one of the things that inspired people so much. Birchgold.com. We got Philip Patrick coming up at 11:30. In times of turmoil, people ask, hey, when you first started working at Birch Gold, I don't know, gold was like $1,100 an ounce. Now it's, what, 52? There was a logic to that. That's what we outlined in the End of the Dollar Empire. Learn how the world works. Go get it. It's totally free. Just go to birchgold.com, promo code Bannon. You get all 7 free installments, and we're coming out with the 8th free installment, but it'll get you up to speed. If you want a hardbound copy, you can get that also. The Patriots edition of the End of the Dollar Empire. Short commercial break. We're going to turn to a war room on a Saturday in a moment.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it, we bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5. It's an all-in-one product, so I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing, there's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that, it's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. You'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the garment and upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
I want to make sure welcome. It is Saturday, 7 March in the year of our Lord, 2026, hour 2. I got Dr. Thayer. I want to make sure everybody takes advantage over this weekend on this special that we have from Tax Network USA. Call 866-513-5516. That's 866-513-5516. Make sure you check it out today. You get a free discovery call. You call that number set up just for the War and Posse. If there's any confusion about what you think you owe, maybe you got a letter from the IRS, anything. This is the tax service that will give you a free discovery call. Normally it costs hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to find out kind of what's the bid and the ask. What is the IRS say you owe? What do you think you owe? And they'll walk you through it. And after you hear the discovery call, they walk you through it. If you're so inclined, you sign them up and they can get right into it with the IRS. They've saved or solved billions of dollars of tax issues for people, and they can solve yours. There's nothing in your tale of woe that they have not heard before many times and negotiated many times. So go check it out today. Tax Network USA. Cameron Kinsey over there, formerly in the White House. She was a terrific staffer with Johnny McEntee and the team over there in the first Trump administration. And she did a terrific job, and now she's over Tax Network. Got this for the War and Posse. Dr. Thayer, I want to pull the camera back for a second to ask you on this Saturday morning, given everything we got going on militarily, you've seen the methodical way that the CENTCOM is going down this target set to make sure, and what President Trump calls unconditional surrender, he has now been a little more precise and says when they don't have the ability militarily to either project power on their own people or project power against their neighbors, that's what he thinks is unconditional surrender, when they don't have the ability to do it anymore. But the concern a lot of people have is with the Russians supposedly giving targeting information. You got the CCP out there. This is now going, there have been certain missiles launched towards Turkey and Cyprus, Azerbaijan, I think, up near the Caspian Sea also. The Gulf is being hit. You have people concerned, is this metastasizing into even forming up with Gaza and the Ukraine as a broader part of the kinetic part of the Third World War, sir?
Great to join you. It might be. My concern would be this, that when he talks about unconditional surrender, and Caroline Leavitt yesterday on Friday said that when the president determines that Iran no longer poses that threat, that's when unconditional surrender will take place. But my concern is this. Hang
on right there. I want to be very precise. When Caroline came out and said that, poses that threat, define that threat, because the president said it and then Caroline said it. I think we can use that as a benchmark. When he said they no longer can have that threat, what does she mean by that?
Well, there's an element of ambiguity there. I think what she's saying is this. My interpretation is this: when they no longer have the military capabilities to harm their neighbors or to harm their people, that's when unconditional surrender will take place. And she envisioned the campaign lasting 4 to 6 weeks in her statements on Friday. So my concern is this, that you take a war against a theocracy, which is a limited war now, and we're turning it potentially into a total war against the Persian people, which is a different type of war. So the war against the theocracy has great support in Iran among the Persian people and among the ethnic minorities that live in Iran. Principally the Azeris, who are about 16% of the population, and the Kurds, which are about 10% of the population. So you can see there that about 1 out of every 4 people living in Iran is either Azeri or Kurd. If we say unconditional warfare against Iran so that they no longer have the ability to harm their neighbors or to harm the population, my fear is that this turns this into a nationalist element begins to surface, and the Persian people will begin to unite around the theocracy, which is what we don't want. About 6 out of every 10 people living in Iran is Persian. So that's a concern. The air campaign, the military campaign more broadly, does seem to be on track to attriting Iran's air forces, of course.
Hang on. I want to go through. You laid out 5 elements the other day, 5 elements of this campaign. I want to do an update. And I agree with you 100%. If the Persian people, this turns into a nationalistic, that it's about the nation of Persia, these people will dig in. Even some people are potentially allies of ours. And that's why it's a very thin line, and especially on some of these bombing campaigns, that CENTCOM, as the execution department of policy, is really under pressure here. And that's why maybe not having all the munitions that we originally thought we were going to have, because we're giving them to Ukraine, they've been in Gaza, some of these precision instruments. When you're talking about, I'm going to have to use gravity bombs, well, even with some precision guidance on gravity bombs, they're still it's generally gravity. And that puts only in more pressure on CENTCOM. And you're right. You don't want to segue in to have a fight with the Persian people as a nationalist entity. Then these folks could dig in. I mean, it's 90 million people, 55 million Persians, some of whom hate the regime. A lot of them that are underneath are Zoroastrians, right? They hate it. But if it has to be, it's an ancient and proud people. So if it doesn't, if you turn it to that, you can have a long, tough fight in your hand. Now, you laid out 5 elements the other day of how you grade the military campaign from CENTCOM. Let's go through that and see what your grade is today.
Certainly. Well, the underlying point is that this is attritional warfare, right? This is like Muhammad Ali fighting Joe Frazier. We're pounding on the Iranian. And so, but we need to recognize Iran really in this campaign. There's it's a 5-front war. The first front really is the missile front. Ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, the UAV drone campaign. And here there does seem to be progress in attriting that is grinding down due to their own launches, as well as what Israel and the United States have been able to destroy. Second is the air war. And the air war seems to be very successful from our perspective. The corridors have been cut into Iran, the shoulders have been widened, and there's been successful destruction of enemy air defenses. So they do seem to be suppressed, although there's always the possibility, of course, that they're lying in wait and they ambush American bombers or American aircraft or allied aircraft. The third front really is the naval war. Strait of Hormuz, as well as more broadly. And here we have some concern, of course, Steve, as you stressed in the last few days on War Room, that Iran is using a variety of measures to intimidate, which is to coerce through the threat of attacks, actual attacks, and the threat of more attacks to come, naval traffic, civilian traffic in the Gulf and in the Strait. And then we have the ground front, fourthly. The ground front would be purportedly led by the Kurds, potentially with backing from the U.S. intelligence community, from Israel's intelligence community, and potentially other actors as well, to serve as the boots on the ground, to serve as a ground force that would be able to seize and hold territory within Iran that might be used as bastions or that might be used to project additional attacks, ground attacks against Iran. And then for the fifth and final would be this, the fifth front is proxies. The fact that the war is expanding, and this is shown most clearly in Lebanon, where you have a proxy war between Hezbollah and Israel. Although with Iran's strong support for terrorism, we can see that proxy attacks occur. For example, the attack in Austin, Texas, that we've had, that we might see other attacks and sustained attacks due to the fact that there are Iranian sleeper cells operating in the United States. So when we think about the war, the kinetic aspect of the war, right, leaving aside the economic aspect of it, leaving aside the political aspect of it, we see those five fronts going on simultaneously today. And there's variation in success. The U.S. has been very successful in sinking Iran's navy and keeping Hormuz open. We can see that the Fifth Fleet, though, is going to be tasked with a very great responsibility to ensure that civilian traffic is able to transit the strait. The missile campaign, again, as a result of Iranian launches and Israeli-U.S. strikes, has been successful at destroying any fixed launcher, but also finding what they call the TELs, the transporter erector launcher, vehicles that would actually carry ballistic missiles. But that's an ongoing campaign, and it's quite reasonable to suspect that Iran is husbanding some ballistic missiles. They launched a lot at the outset of the war, and then you see a fall off because of the success of the air campaign, but also because of Iran's desire strategically to keep some of those ballistic missiles and their TELs in reserve so that they can be launched to lengthen the war, to draw out the war, and for Israel and the United States never to be sure that we've been able to destroy all of their ballistic missiles. Likewise, the air war, their air defenses seem to be greatly weakened as a result of the cyber actions that we've likely taken in conjunction with Israel and the kinetic actions that we've taken with Israel and the U.S. But we always worry about essentially a surface-to-air missile, an ambush of an aircraft. The ground war, Steve, we worry about that a lot because of the possibility, if you're using Kurds, that's going to cause a Persian nationalist reaction. If you're using Kurds to break down the door on the ground and to seize a chunk of Iran, the Persian people are going to react to that, I would suspect, vociferously. And that's going to feed support for the regime. And that's not an outcome that we want. And then, of course, the proxy front will be ongoing as long as this war is, right? We will always be worried about a terrorist attack in the United States on American soil or against U.S. military targets abroad or against allies, of course.
Do you think as CENTCOM goes down, what I refer to as the punch list or the target set, however you want to describe it, and you can answer this after the break. I appreciate we're going to keep you for a short period of time in the next segment. As CENTCOM goes through systematically this punch list in those 5 categories, or at least 3 of the categories of war, to make sure that we've degraded and or destroyed, because President Trump now saying there's no need for combat troops because we're going to so destroy what they've got. As they do that, is one of the concerns how this is metastasizing on Persian versus Arab, Muslim versus Muslim, as this metastasizes into the Gulf. The Financial Times of London, the Wall Street Journal, of course, obviously Bloomberg, they're very focused on something they should be focused on, and that's oil assets being taken offline in the Gulf, whether that is the tanker fleet, whether it is refineries, desalination plants, all of it, gas fields, all of it. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to return to Saturday morning in the War Room in just a moment.
Hey, buddy.
Morning.
I'm a stickler for good dental care.
Me too.
Ooh, looking sharp today. But even if we take care of our teeth, we can still get...
No, please don't say it.
A big dental bill. That's why dental insurance from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company is important. Now, this isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. It helps pay for over 400 procedures, like cleanings, fillings, crowns, bridges, root canals, even dentures.
That's a lot.
It's easy to find out more. Just call or go online now to get your free information kit with all the details. This dental insurance helps you pay for routine care and expensive major procedures, all with no deductibles and no annual maximums. You can even keep your dentist. Why pay more for dental care? Get your free info kit and start saving today. Call or visit physiciansmutualdental.com. Physicians Mutual, Physicians Mutual.
Don't you hate that dirty old hose? It kinks, splits, and it always leaks. And it's way too heavy to carry around. It's time to get the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead. Just turn on the water and watch it grow to a full-size hose. It stretches and expands like a rubber band. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the new Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees. Just connect to the spigot and watch it pivot. And when you turn off the water, away it goes, shrinking back to a pocket-size hose. And it makes it easy to carry and put away. Copperhead. It's the hose that grows and pivots, flexes, and sprays. It puts itself away for another day. The Pocket Hose is so unique and so innovative, it was awarded over 100 patents. Call or go online now to get the super light 25-foot Pocket Hose Copperhead today for only $39.99. But wait, order right now and you'll receive an instant $10 discount. So it's only $29.99. And it gets better. Order right now and get our copper spray nozzle with our exclusive thumb drive free. Simply use your thumb to turn it on or off. And with 10 unique patterns, you'll have a setting for every job. A $30 value. Yours free with every 50-foot Copperhead. Plus, Copperhead comes with a full 10-year warranty. It's that durable. That means you can order right now with total confidence. But this special offer is not available in stores or on Amazon. So order right here, right now. And with rising costs, this may be your last chance at this low price. There is a strict limit of 3 per order. So don't wait. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-957-6191 or visit getcopperhead.com. So call 1-800-957-6191 or visit getcopperhead.com. Order now.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Dr. Bradley Thayer, thank you for giving us time on a Saturday morning. Persian versus Arab, because to me, this is the most fascinating part of this so far, is that, and this is a big-time military campaign. Folks ought to understand that. And since, as you guys know, as a young naval officer over there in the North Arabian Sea and Persian Gulf, it amazes me, 47 years later, the types of power, naval power we can project that we couldn't project back then. So as a former naval officer, it's awe-inspiring what's happening. That being said, what really, and Dr. Thayer, you were just in Australia. If we'd asked you at the time, I think all of us have been stunned to see Persian versus Arab, Shia versus Sunni, this kind of outright attacks in the Gulf on oil assets, desalination plants, and quite frankly, I think the Saudis and other people punching back. Your thoughts about that? Is that the new center of gravity in this war?
I think it's a key element of the war. I think what the Iran has done it has escalated the war horizontally by attacking the Gulf Sheikdoms in Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan and many other states as well. Their effort is to undermine support for the U.S. There's a logic for what they're doing, a military logic, strategic logic for what they're doing. They want to inflict pain on the Arab states. And then by so doing, of course, that also reveals the cleavages, the tensions that exist between Sunni and Shia Arabs, Iranians largely Shia, and between Persians and Arabs. So Iran's efforts to hurt the U.S. to draw out the campaign and inflict pain on the Arabs is to a degree self-defeating, because it's generating, at least at the elite level, support. Another issue which needs to be addressed is that by attacking Azerbaijan, remember 16% of the population of Iran is Azeri. So by attacking Azerbaijan, you're opening up a window for Azerbaijan to reach out to essentially their population, the diaspora population in Iran. Likewise for the Kurds. So by Iran escalating, and again, there's a logic to do that, they're also complicating their strategic situation. They're adding to their enemies, and they're adding to the might arranged against them. Their calculus must be, at least with the Arabs, that there'll be a revolt, that at the mass level, in the Gulf Sheikdoms, the people don't support the U.S. and they don't support this war, and they don't support essentially their governments. There's a logic there, but whether that's going to obtain.
Well, part of the logic is they see this as the Israeli the Israeli American demons going after Muslims. Go ahead.
Right. Saddam Hussein attacked Israel, right, as a way to in Desert Storm, Desert Shield in '91. Saddam Hussein attacked Israel as a way to essentially break up the coalition, as well as attacking Saudi, as well as attacking the Gulf Sheikdoms, Bahrain very famously. So again, there's that military logic there. But whether that's going to be successful or not is certainly very difficult to see.
You're following the war very closely. Where do people go on your Twitter feed? You're also working on a huge book that we'll talk about that hopefully comes out this spring, if not early summer, that I think puts this all in perspective. But where do people go to get your constant updates on this war, and particularly your thoughts on, are we segueing into the kinetic part of the Third World War and uniting all these fights in a massive kind of World War I type fiasco?
Right. Brad Thayer at X, or Bradley Thayer, Getter and Truth. And so, Steve, the major caveat is, let's not turn this into a national conflict. Let's not turn it into a war against the Persians, which is going to greatly complicate the conflict.
Amen. That's why CENTCOM, the airmen, soldiers, naval officers, the crews of those ships, I mean, they're on the razor's edge right now. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve.
The CENTCOM, that's what we really try to do, as many CENTCOM briefings as possible. That's cutting edge. I want to, since they had this DHS, we didn't get a lot of time to get into it because so many other things going on. But the Senator Markwayne Mullin, I want to get Sheila Matthews on here. He has been, and obviously you're very supportive of the president, Sheila, and Abel Child is. I think Abel Child, you're having your 25th anniversary gala this week. Want to make sure everybody knows about that. You're very supportive, full MAGA, but there's some issues. You've been out constantly saying, hey, we're missing the point on this mental illness thing. We're not getting into the psychiatrist records. This is a huge industry for big pharma. We don't have our arms around it. Senator Markwayne Mullins does have some legislation out there that you're saying, hey, I think this thing needs a mid-course guidance. Can you walk us through this legislation? What's the fundamental problems with it? And what do you think we need to do to kind of rectify it now that he's going over to DHS?
Well, Abel Child works with everybody, and we're looking at Senator Mullins, a co-sponsor of the BHIT Act, which is the Behavioral Health Information Technology Act. What it is it's a big electronic network where they collect all our consumer mental health documents and they pass them around to behavioral health vendors and doctors. And there's a flaw in this bill. And what the flaw is it does not collect the data associated with the violence that the psychiatric drugs have. So what we're excited about is that he is the co-sponsor of this bill. So maybe he missed it. Maybe he missed that loophole. So we need to put a patch on it. So we need to open that system up, and he's the guy to do it now that he's got this big job, and he doesn't need a bill to push through. He can look at this flaw and say, you know what, we need to collect the data from the psychiatrists that are associated with these mass shooters. So it protects the consumer. There's a consumer loophole here. This bill is that he co-sponsored is more protective of the behavioral health and the drug companies. So Able Child wants to make sure we have.
It seems like this is the fight that you've had. It seems like this is what I understand. It seems like everything we have is to protect the psychiatry, the industry of the psychiatrists, because they're kind of the physician, the attending physician that prescribes this. And this is how Big Pharma makes so much money. I mean, is everything that we have here, is it just, like you said, hey, May overlooked it. It sounds like this is not a bug. This is actually the way the system works.
Well, these bills are crafted by the behavioral health industry, and they're pushed onto senators and congressmen, and the voice of the consumer is often lost in there. They go to the senators, we have a great idea, we're going to do this whole new database. And it was bipartisan, so we're often always cautious of that because we have to make sure that the consumer is protected. It took us 2 years to get the Tennessee bill passed to test for the therapeutic levels for psychiatric drugs in mass shooters. This bill that he sponsored has a loophole. So Able Child's been chasing this data. So you're absolutely right. This is a flaw in this bill, and he's going to be the Homeland Security head. And we have mass shootings that become unsolved. And, as consumers, we need this protection. We need this data. It's a data vacuum for the consumer. We need it patched up. And, we're willing to work with him. We're aware of this flaw, and we are going to stand on the mountain, shout about this flaw, because it protects the psychiatrist, it protects these records, and we're forever fighting to get these records released to the public. And the consumers want to go to movie theaters and malls. They don't want to be shot up by psychiatric patients that are on these dangerous black box suicide warning drugs.
Yeah. We got to bounce. But does it drive you crazy every time we have a mass shooting? They all come on TV for a couple of days and say, police are really looking for a motive. When the first thing you hear is that they were under psychiatric care and taking these drugs, but they always, for 3 and 4 days until it fades from public view, say we're really the authorities are investigating for why they did this.
Yeah, I mean, Able Child's frustrated, but you know what? The consumer's frustrated, and they know it. And you look on the internet on X, and they're all talking about it. So it's out of the box. We need the consumer's voice in there, and I believe Able Child provides that. Bipartisan. We work with both Democrats and Republicans, and I do favor working with the Trump administration. He's doing a lot of good things.
Sheila, we got to bounce. Where do people go to get all the information? If they want to support you at the gala, where do people go?
ablechild25.com. We're going to be closing out tickets shortly. We are overwhelmed with the response, and please sign our petition on ablechild.org. And so we get our voice in there with federal hearings on this issue and this flaw. So I'll be tracking this flaw, Steve.
Yeah. Great job in Tennessee. We got to model everything after Tennessee. Great job there. Sheila, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Philip Patrick's going to join us next. Of course, this, major military operation and or war, whatever you want to call it, this conflict in the Middle East is driving turbulence in capital markets all over the world. So Philip Patrick's going to be here. We're going to walk through about gold. Also commodity markets, what it means for commodities, particularly oil, the hydrocarbons over there, and how that impacts the gold and bond market and equity market. If you want medical freedom, All Family Pharmacy. This is what we love this sponsor. They've created, an online pharmacy. They have registered physicians, pharmacists. You go online with them, allfamilypharmacy.com, Bannon 10, you get 10% off. Plus, they're passing savings in overhead because they don't have the huge infrastructure of the pharmacy business. You don't have medical freedom until you're able to get the medications you want when you want them. That's what Our Family Pharmacy does. They have all these physicians, all these pharmacists on staff to hook up right now. allfamilypharmacy.com, Bannon 10, get 10% off. Short commercial break. Philip Patrick joins us in a moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. For 50 years, I've watched Washington betray the American people with dishonest money. Nixon's closure of the gold window made endless debt and war inevitable. Today, our middle class, our currency, and our economy are dying in real time. In my new book, Dispatches to Future Generations, I reveal how we got here, plus the solution, gold. And that's why I'm partnering with Birch Gold Group to give you a free copy of my book along with their free info kit on gold. Click below to get both right now. Inside the info kit, you'll learn how to move your IRA or 401k into physical gold. So click below to claim your free copy of my Dispatches to Future Generations and Birch Gold's info kit today.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it, we bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5. It's an all-in-one product, so I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing, there's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that, it's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. You'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the garment and upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back. We've got Philip Patrick joins us. Philip, let's walk through why, just generally, because I want to get into the specifics of this war and what it's causing and the turbulence in capital markets and commodity markets. But first off, why has gold been because we're here for a discussion that we've kind of come full circle about. Remember, one of the rushes to gold over the last couple of years is that Philip Patrick and we partnered with Birch Gold to talk about the end of the dollar empire. Now, that was not specifically about gold as a hedge, but gold as a financial asset, which became, as the dollar was essentially the purchase power of the dollar was destroyed by the elites that run this country, right? And particularly the massive overspending, that when the purchasing power dropped, that the world would go to, particularly central banks and others would go to buying gold, and gold would have a floor, and then it would become a financial asset as it has, right? In much like the 19th century. But classically, gold has been a hedge against times of financial turbulence. It's been a safe harbor. And you definitely have financial turbulence now. I use the term geopolitical risk. And I tell people that's just a fancy schmancy term for war or the rumors of war when it gets down to it. And now we're in it. we're in a conflict that is in the conflict. As our theory of the case is, the center of gravity of the conflict is not the military conflict. Part of it is Tehran in Persia itself, which is being pounded to degrade their ability to have weapon systems that actually can attack their neighbors of the United States, also to have a command structure that's still run by radical Islam. However, the other part is what's different than all these other wars. It's Muslim versus Muslim that's metastasized, that's shifted over to the Persian Gulf, and whether you like to admit it or not, until we were up to more full capacity, still much of the world, obviously Europe and in Asia, run on Persian Gulf oil and gas. And so gold has been a traditional hedge. What does that mean? And what does it mean, particularly in a time like this? Well, we're in a shooting war, in a massive shooting war that is, quite frankly, even now, forget Iraq and Afghanistan, it's bigger than the Gulf War, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Certainly, even prior to this, as you mentioned, we had the perfect storm for gold. We've printed the dollar into oblivion. We've made it a much less attractive store of wealth. We've talked about how we broke the trust, specifically Biden, through sanctions and weaponization of currency, which made the dollar far less attractive. People have to understand gold has been the standard for international currency throughout all of human history, because ultimately for most of human history, countries didn't trust each other. And sort of post-World War II, this belief was born that the world had transitioned and we moved away from gold towards government debt, and specifically US government debt. But I think clearly that illusion has been shattered. First of all, the dollar as a store of wealth isn't what it was. It's lost 28% of its buying power since the pandemic. It is an unattractive, much less attractive store of wealth than it was. Secondly, broadly, the trust has been broken. So I think what we're seeing now is the world is reverting back to sound money, what has always been the standard. Now, obviously, a war in Iran adds another dimension and more instability. And you're correct in your assessment. Look, the Iranians can't wage a military war, or can't win a military war against the United States. So the best way to do this is to morph this into an economic war. I think it's why they're hitting the Gulf states currently to create uncertainty and chaos. And I think it's going to be a very effective strategy. Obviously, oil prices increasing on the back of it significantly. If the war is long, drawn out and protracted, that's going to increase even more. And that puts pressure on things domestically. Ultimately, and we said this a lot under Biden, oil is the most inflationary commodity. Oil prices go up, put pressure on pricing across the board domestically at a time heading into the midterms when we really don't need it. So the Iranians are smart, and I think they're going to continue to play a smart game. So we'll have to see how this pans out. But economically, this is problematic.
When you're on we've had Eric Bolling on now. He used to be a trader of oil and gas futures, all of it, in the pits for about a dozen years. When you're talking to traders, we're talking particularly people in the commodities market and people in the gold market, what are you hearing today?
Listen, predictions that what I'm hearing is this is the perfect storm we're seeing now for precious metals, right? The world is turning into chaos. Sadly, the silver lining is it bodes well for investors in precious metals. Predictions now are increasing dramatically. UBS, JP Morgan, Bank of America have scrambled to up predictions now on precious metals. They're projecting 6,300 now for gold by the end of the year. We're trading in the 5,100 range. So significant upside from where we sit. This ultimately strengthens the long-term fundamentals. And I think the longer the duration, the better it is for precious metals, the more strain it puts on the dollar and government debt.
When you say there is this flight to quality with the dollar. The dollar has strengthened since this started. So people are fleeing certain assets. It's not the end of the BRICS movement, but clearly some of the money market folks have said, hey, given I don't understand what's going on, maybe I get more into dollars. obviously gold too, but the strength of the dollar, you've seen that in the last week or so, because a lot of people said, hey, I think gold could be exploded. It could get to the 6,000 or 6,500. Remember, we don't forecast the price of gold here. What we want to do is get you the information and get you into like end of the dollar empire. And you take your phone out and text Bannon, Bannon at 989898. You get the ultimate guide for investing. Totally free, no obligations. All the information from Birch Gold in the War Room on this topic are always free, because we want a smart investor and a smart consumer. But what was this about the strength in the gold over the last couple of days?
Look, gold strengthened. You make an interesting point, though. Initially, you saw the dollar strengthen, and it has done, and it's good news. People ultimately move to cash, and it shows that for liquidity, people still want dollars. What was interesting, though, is historically during times like this, investors run to government debt and yields decline, but the opposite happened. Yields actually increased on the debt, and what that suggests is people are less worried about collapse, more worried about inflation. I think particularly the impact of higher energy costs on top of today's already elevated price levels. So as much as the dollar did strengthen, which was good news, yields on debt increased, which is bad news for the government. So sort of a mixed bag there. In terms of precious metals, though, like I said, I think demand will still increase broadly for metals. It's still being driven by central banks. De-dollarization is still happening very actively. I think we're 38-year lows now for central banks around the world holding dollars for reserves. So that trend, I think, will continue long term. Nothing is linear, right? The dollar's not going to go like that. There'll be peaks and troughs, but I think long term, the trend, at least at this point, is not changing.
You were the first to bring up, this is years ago. In fact, this is the beginning of the, about a year or so, I think, after we were working with you guys, you had this blinding insight that really not just turbocharged gold at the time, but really had such a massive geopolitical impact. When people in the beginning of the Ukrainian war, I guess we might have been into it for the first year, when the people that were so gung-ho, that were driving the Ukrainians to put more people in and more of their resources in, really fight it, they came with this idea of first freezing the Russians' assets and then essentially stealing the Russian people's assets, dollar-denominated assets that were in essentially basically European banks. And you came on, he said, hey, this is a game changer. It's one of the reasons people have had a problem with the SWIFT system. They've had a problem with because the Americans can actually weaponize the dollar, but we've never done this to the Nazis. We didn't do this to Imperial Japan. We didn't do this to the Bolsheviks. This is a game changer. And you saw the shift in the kind of the sentiment to gold, particularly among central banks, because they realized, hey, maybe we can't be so dollar denominated. We just had in the last 24, 48 hours, the same situation in the UAE, where the UAE has warned the Persians, and 99.99% of people didn't understand this because they said, hey, I thought the Arabs and the Iranians and the Persians were kind of at a war with each other. And, the Iranians were always saying they were threatening them militarily, and they had all these proxy groups in there. And so this thing's never really, it's been in the Abraham Accords showed that UAE and others were prepared to work with the Israelis. The bigger problem was Tehran. And then it comes up that Dubai is I call it Tortuga to the pirates in the Caribbean in the 17th and 18th century. Dubai is like the pirates' den. And you had all the resources and all their cash wasn't in Switzerland, it was in Dubai. And now UAE is threatening to say, hey, look, not only might we freeze it, we might take it. How is that? Tell me how that's a game changer in this war. It reflects what happened with the Russians, but it's also going to be another indication of countries throughout the world and central banks that, hey, maybe I just can't be keeping my cash sitting around. Maybe I have to go to gold, sir.
This was the point that I was making earlier, right? For all of human history, gold was the standard because trust didn't exist broadly between nations. And like I said, this sort of post-World War II US-led order meant that the world broadly trusted each other. And when the trust broke down, America was there to police it. So we saw this transition, but that illusion has clearly been shattered. The world now is sort of turning to blocks. And I think asset seizures, things like that, have ultimately escalated the inevitability. I'd love to sort of take credit for some genius foresight when it came to the Russia thing, but ultimately it's common sense, right? If you want to incentivize the world to hold your currency and trade in it, you can't do things like seize people's assets and threaten to give them to a country that they're currently at war at to fight against them. That's not only a message to the country you're sanctioning, but it's a message to every other country around the world that may want to do things that don't align with your moral compass. It's that simple. And the more it happens, the more the world will revert to gold.
Philip, can you just hang on? I realize it's a Saturday, but just hang on through the commercial break because I want people to avail themselves of the opportunity that you have to immerse themselves in information here and become wiser. I think you'll become financially more and more stable if you do this, but if not, you'll still learn how the world works. Birchgold.com, the end of the dollar empire. If you go there today, all of the installments are free online, but you also, if you want a hard copy, and the hard copy we did in conjunction with our partners over at Birch Gold is just nothing short of, I think, magnificent. The Patriots edition of the end of the dollar empire. It's all seven free installments and kind of reads right through like a book. And remember, it's being taught now in graduate schools. I thought it was undergraduate economics and finance classes, actually being taught now in graduate level. Why? Because we try to make this accessible, keep it sophisticated, but make sure that you didn't have to have a degree in economics to understand it. Birchgold.com, promo code Bannon, the end of the dollar empire. Philip Patrick on the other side, war in the rumors of war, in the war room this morning.
We will fight till they're all gone. We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the CCP.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
President Trump delivered on his promise to pardon January 6 defendants, but there are still 12 whose fights are far from over. Even though they've had their sentences commuted, they still cannot vote, possess firearms, receive military pensions and retirement benefits, obtain health care coverage, or secure employment. Stand in the Gap is renewing our Justice Restoration Fund to advocate for full pardons for these patriots. Please visit j6support.com or scan the QR code to support our fight for justice. Scan the QR code or visit j6support.com to make a tax-deductible donation to our Justice Restoration Fund today.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it. We bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5. It's an all-in-one product, so I can use it throughout my entire house.
It's cleaning, it's sanitizing, there's no chemicals in it. It's just steam.
This is unbelievable. There is no more odor.
5 minutes, I'm done. Look at that, it's amazing.
If you're ready to step into an effective, economical, and eco-safe world of cleaning, look no further than the H2O X5. Using just the power of superheated water, the X5 Super Hot Steam cleans and kills up to 99% of germs, viruses, and bacteria. You could spend over $500 to purchase the products that the X5 5-in-1 Miracle replaces. But through this special TV offer, you won't spend $400, $300, or even $200. Order your H2O X5 steam cleaning system, a $500 value, for just 4 easy payments of $43. you'll get the X5 steam mop with microfiber pad, the carpet glider, the handheld scrubber, the window glass and mirror attachment, and the garment and upholstery bonnet. It's a complete 10-piece system, all this for just 4 easy payments of $43. But it gets even better. Order now and we'll upgrade your X5 package. We'll add a 6th mode with a dusting and polishing wand. Valued at over $30, this extra bonus attachment makes your H2O X5 the H2O X6. That means your 10-piece system becomes a 12-piece system at no extra cost to you. If after 30 days you're not absolutely delighted, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Don't wait. Now's your chance to own the X5 for just 4 easy payments, and we'll make the first payment for you. You get the X5 incredible 5-in-1 lightweight, powerful 12-piece steam cleaning system, a $500 value, all for just 3 easy payments of $43. This offer can't last forever, so call or click right now.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody to think about this. Crypto was supposed to be digital gold, correct, Philip? And it was going to have all these attributes of gold. One of the things for the audience to understand that history has kind of proven the last couple of years is that particularly as the central banks stepped in from throughout the world, particularly the Chinese Communist Party, right? But the central banks have stepped in and doubled and tripled on their gold reserves, is that gold has been very liquid. I think in the past there were some issues. Well, if I got physical gold, you know, it's not like owning a stock on the New York Stock Exchange. I can't call my broker and cross a trade. But the depth of purchasing in the gold market gave you liquidity. If you wanted to offload your gold or sell it, you weren't looking at taking a 25% discount or something like this because of recent statistics. And crypto was supposed to be the same way. I think what we found, one, I want you to talk about, it turned out it didn't move with gold. It turned out to be, instead of counter-cyclical, with the cycle. And I believe more importantly, and this is why you saw a lot of the tech bros very early on when President Trump won. Remember, these guys all climbed on board and they wanted not just regulation, they also wanted the U.S. government to step in with these reserves to essentially add liquidity to the market. And now we understand, specifically now that we're in the shooting war and crypto's been all over the place, there's just not one, it's not countercyclical. Number two, it is there's a liquidity issue. And so it turns out it's actually not only not digital gold, it's kind of anti-digital gold. Is it not, sir?
It's a good way to put it. And I think not having the American taxpayer be the backstop for that is very, very important. With the benefit of hindsight, it's clear to see what would have happened. On top of that, the digital gold story just doesn't hold up anymore. And honestly, it hasn't for quite a while. Gold is a safe haven asset. It performs incredibly well during times of stagflation, things like higher inflation, weaker growth, monetary instability, dollar decline. They all drive gold up. But what it is defensive, boring. It's essentially insurance for a portfolio. Bitcoin has not behaved that way at all, right? When liquidity has been abundant, when rates are low, speculative appetite is high, Bitcoin absolutely soars and people can do incredibly well. When liquidity tightens and when real rates rise, sentiment turns from risk on to risk off. The thing can absolutely plummet, right? Drop 50, 60% as we've been seeing. So, gold is on the opposite end of the spectrum to that, right? You're not going to buy gold and it's worth, double, triple, quadruple 2 weeks from now. But by that same token, it doesn't drop in half in a week. So when it comes to sort of risk profile, I'd put it on the opposite end of the spectrum. And as you rightly point out, gold has thousands of years of history. And what we've learned over those years is how it performs in relation to other assets. So we understand very well it's defensive and it's counter-cyclical. It does very well when things are struggling. Bitcoin seems to be the reverse, right? And in climates like this, when people are looking for safe havens, they're looking for wealth preservation, Bitcoin just doesn't achieve that. So I've always viewed it as a speculative asset, and I still do today. So as some sort of support for the US dollar, definitely not.
I also want people to note that both Philip and myself came out of investment banking. We are not gold bugs. In fact, in the 80s and 90s, when I really left Harvard and went to work for Goldman Sachs, I had my own firm. It was really John Maynard Keynes, I think it was, that said it was a historic relic, a barbaric relic. This has only been really this focus on the crushing of the U.S. dollar over the last couple of years, because the U.S. dollar is still the backbone of the system, as you're seeing right now in this war. The reason we partner with Birch Gold is that, I never talk, it's not the price, it's the process and it's learning. This was a great learning experience for you to understand how the world works. Even if you never invested or you never did anything, it's just to have another arrow in the quiver. That the reason you're the smartest, most powerful political audience in the world and have really bent the arc of history is that you use your agency and you're engaged. And we've done this on geopolitics. We've done it obviously on politics itself, on culture. One of the most important things we do in this show is to talk to a blue collar and a middle class audience on things I think are more sophisticated than CNBC or forget Fox Business. That's just cheerleading. Or almost like Bloomberg TV, where we really try to get people in here and break down what's going on. Because we say, if you don't understand that, you're not going to understand how the world works. And that's why the partnership with Birch Gold and all the work we've put in together, the Birch Gold team and the War Room team, to do it. But Philip, I want people, if you go to birchgold.com, promo code BANNON, you get access to all the information, but most importantly, get access to Philip Patrick and the team. And I've had so many people come to me and say, hey, in my relationship with Birch Gold has changed my life because I got in at gold at $1,500 and it's over $5,000 a day. But it's really the learning experience. So we got about a minute, Philip. Where do people go? How do they get access to you and your team?
It's really simple. It's birchgold.com/Bannon. Again, birchgold.com/Bannon. Get the End of the Dollar Empire reports, access to guides on how and why to invest in precious metals in today's climate. And as you rightly point out, your viewers, your listeners, they have a real desire to learn. So the feedback we've been getting from this has been fantastic.